Here are 3 scams that have become so normalized we don't even think about them anymore. Number 1 is the idea of retirement. Retirement is a fairly new concept that was only born, I think, at the end or at the beginning of maybe the 20th century, middle of the 20th century, when we started to have this more standardized workforce, putting in 40 hours a week. You put in your time and your energy, and then when you're 65 years old, you get to retire, and you get your little check, and you get to sail off into the sunset. It's a new and novel concept, but it's outdated in so many ways, as people have come to realize that retirement is actually a very bad thing in the grand scheme of things. If you look at long-term mortality rates of new retirees, as soon as you leave the workforce, a lot of people experience steep declines in their mental health and their physical health, and an increased mortality rate. And the reason for this is largely, I think, due to the fact that humans were designed to work. We're designed to work. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go and do work that you don't like or work for corporations that you don't like, but the idea that you put in your work now and then at some point in the future you will never have to work again, I think is the wrong paradigm. The better goal, the better destination to arrive at is to find work that you find so meaningful and so purpose driven, so fulfilling that you're okay doing it until the day that you die. Because again, humans are designed to work, to have a sense of progress towards a meaningful goal. And I think when you take that away from people, they wither and they die very, very quickly. And so get it out of your head that you're working towards this end state, this retirement state, and start looking at your work in your life right now and ask, how can I find fulfillment and joy in the work that I'm doing? And if you don't have that, if you're just doing a job right now that you're punching the clock, putting in the time so that someday you can be done with and never have to do it again, maybe make that day today. Pull it forward into your now and start looking for that work that you would be excited to do until the day that you die. And that might change. What you were initially excited to do in your 20s might be different in your 30s and your 40s, and that's okay. There is no, I think one of the biggest scams is the idea of a career. This one profession, this one thing that you're going to do for the next 45, 50, 60, 70 years. It's outrageous to think that. There's so many evolutions of your identity and your character. The person you are today at 41 is going to be so different than the person you were at 22. And so all along the way, you're evolving and becoming a new, different version of yourself. Why is there this expectation that you have this career that kind of sticks with you into perpetuity? I think just disregarding that entirely and disregarding the idea of retirement and saying, who am I now? What is the work that I find meaningful? What would I be excited to get out of bed to do today? And go tackle that and forget about retirement. The second thing that I think is a scam we don't even think about anymore is the idea of college degrees. A lot of people, myself included, went to college because it had been told to us since we were children that that was the thing you do, that it was the next step in the evolution. If you want to get ahead in life, of course you have to go to college, because people that don't go to college are losers, they're dropouts, they're never going to get ahead, they're going to work blue collar jobs into perpetuity. And what's happened is the cost of education has skyrocketed, though the quality of education has plummeted. Not just the quality of the education you're receiving, but the value of the education, because so much of what's being taught in schools in the vast majority of degrees is outdated by the time you even get into the marketplace. Now, of course, there are some degrees that are more valuable than others. Like you have to go to school to get your JD for law or your medical license. When there's a licensure involved, then I think the education system makes a lot of sense. But if you're just going to get an English degree or learn marketing, there's so many better ways to get that information these days than through the traditional four-year university route. So I think that's a very big scam. The third scam that I want to talk about, I guess I gave you 4 because I put career in there too. So we'll go, this one's number 4, is the scam of passive income. The idea of passive income, so many people are enamored with it, this idea that they're going to get something for nothing. I can go start this business or this Amazon drop shipping store, this piece of real estate that's going to produce returns for me, and I'm just going to be able to sleep at night. And I think this concept has just become so bastardized that people don't understand there is no such thing as passive income. Money is only ever earned in relation to the thing that you do. And the thing that you do is dependent on the time you expend and what you do during that time. So income is always tied inextricably to our time. It's just a matter of how much time you put in and on what timeline we measure the input of time. For instance, The reason a lot of people think of real estate as passive income is because you can own this thing for 50 years and every month it continues to put out cash flow for you, and that's great, and it might require a very minimal amount of work as you have a manager and team in place running the thing for you. But that doesn't mean that you didn't put in time at some point along the equation to learn how to discern what is a good or bad asset. You had to put in time at some point to overlook contracts, to sign something, to send the money to buy the thing, right? And so you might have spent 40 hours at the beginning of this investment, and like stocks would be a good example. You had to put in time to buy the thing, and now it's earning for you into perpetuity. So over time, the amount of money you earned per hour you put in gets bigger and bigger, right? That's the way to think about this. Is this income passive or active? It's how passive was it? How active was it? And the goal is to maximize how much you make relative to the hours you put in. And that's the most important metric. Everybody's like, don't, time for money, don't exchange your time for money and all this stuff. If you exchange your time for money, you'll work a day every day until you die, that type of thing. But everybody is exchanging their time for money. It's just a matter of how much money you're getting as an output of the leverage that you apply with your time. So that's a simple framework that people just really get wrong. And they're out there thinking, again, tied to the retirement scam, there's going to come this point when I don't have to work anymore. I'm not going to have to worry about money anymore. And the truth is, like, you never get to that point. I don't care how much money you have, you will always worry about it. That's just the game. And so these are 4 scams. I know I started with 3, but I gave you 4. I gave you that bonus one. So if you like that, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.